I'm going to start with Sarah Colby. And Sarah, if you would introduce yourself and say what you do and all this.
And I have pictures. My name is Sarah Colby. I'm one of the first well-trained from Roseanne and Janie from the CAT Institute about 5 years ago. I am a visual artist who found myself at an interesting crossroads a few years ago when a new program at Barnes-Jewish Hospital was being developed. It's an arts and healthcare program. And I was fortunate to be in the position to take this wonderful offer, and I had no idea in hell what I was doing, except that I had been fairly freshly out of the Community Arts Training Institute. And so as a kind of wonderful guidepost, as I came into this enormous hospital right across the park, where there are 9,000 employees and anywhere from 12 to 1,400 patients in beds every day, including a huge outpatient, clinics and outpatient services at Sightman Cancer Center. It was a daunting experience when I started 2 years ago. But I have to say, there are CAT phrases that have run through my head on probably a regular basis. And when Roseanne said, you don't just go into an organization and sort of, I'm going to change it and change you, and I would be a fool to think that I could do that to Barnes-Jewish Hospital. The expression that Shelley Gable Parker used as one of my mentors was with, not for. And I actually probably have that tattooed somewhere on my person at this point, because it always is with, not for. I was given a game plan that looked just like this, blank sheet, and startup budget from Barnes-Jewish Hospital Foundation. And that's the fundraising organization of the hospital. And a wonderful woman in the community who started an arts and healthcare program in Nashville, Tennessee, was one of the first funders of the program and big proponents, and really got it off the ground. So she is really kind of the godmother of the person. Now, Emily, do I just touch this button here?
You can like do this rolling down.
Okay, Bob, watch my hand because Bob's next. I'm going to run through these images very, very quickly. The program is still somewhat in startup mode. It is really one person deep at this point. There's one employee of the program, that would be me. And I work, collaboration is the only way to go about this. So I'm collaborating with groups all over town, and a wonderful volunteer base that's starting to develop. But I think Janice Palmer, who's at Duke, they've got a phenomenal arts and healthcare program. This just really sums it up. I mean, there is no environment that contains more deeply emotional, fundamental experiences in a hospital, because it really, everybody comes into a hospital. So all of the populations that you may work with, in terms of social services, will at some point, for whatever reason, probably come through a hospital. And then, the first thing one does, even though you are a beginning program, is write a mission statement. So I'm not going to sort of. But bringing the arts into a hospital setting is a really interesting task. And so the first thing one does is find out where you are and who lives there. And I'm just going to give you this is the last year and a half who's been in and out of the program generously, public music, things like that. But I'm going to talk more generally about sort of starting a program. I got to know the staff. And so I started a PowerPoint. Janie, when you said, oh, goody, a PowerPoint, I actually had to do that to keep the program kind of moving, because the physical plant of the hospital is so huge and confusing. So we started, very simply with art cards. And I would meet with big groups of nursing staff, because they really are the PowerPoint. The doctors think so. The nurses are it. We have an exhibition space where I'm only showing right now hospital staff members. And so some of these people you're seeing the artwork in this little gallery space have been incredible advocates of the program, and also wonderful partners for me. And we do a lot of, here we are at the Goldfarb School of Nursing and Goldfarb. So public art, placement of art in the hospital, all of these things have fallen under the aegis of the arts and healthcare program. I have been very loose the first couple of years. I don't say no to anything. So if something comes up, I really will explore that and see where that can go, what path that will take us. I've had the marvelous benefit of having art therapy interns from SMUE. That's not my background, but they have really added a tremendous element to the program, working one-on-one with patients. These are just some of my favorite projects. This is happening again next week. Actually, Saturday, I'm hanging another selection of the raised quilts. From these kinds of activities come, a quilt project we're doing in the nursing community. Just some sort of quick examples of of artwork on the hospital walls. That's the new infiltration. But the interesting thing is that we are in an incredibly diverse community at Barnes-Jewish Hospital. When I said 9,000 people who work there, and just a myriad of people coming in and out, come from all over the region. This is the most wonderful project that is currently up in the gallery space, and I encourage you, if you want to see it, Emily was here, when was it, last week, Emily, you came by to see the project? This is a project that one of our respiratory therapists did with cystic fibrosis lung transplant patients, using the mandala image. And she lovingly helped the patients put their mandalas on canvases that was painted. And it's up until the end of January. But this was an incredible experience for me because I'm really mining the environment. I'm not coming in and going, okay, we're going to do this, let's try this. I'm finding this incredible creative vein that runs through the hospital with many of the staff people. And you know, I'm working very closely with spiritual care right now, and that's not a surprise. I'm going to leave this quote just for a second because the spiritual care folks, whether they are dealing one-on-one with patients and their families at a time of crisis, they also have great insight coming in without medical procedure. And these are, again, just some portraits of some of the projects. I go out to West County Sightlin Cancer Center. This is a young woman who's now in remission. People very willingly let me photograph them to kind of keep a record of this. And she is thinking about community arts now, which is interesting to go from teaching in school. She's applying to, I think, a social work program. So, I love this. One of the nurses, you made my job fun. And improved my theory that child's play through art is restorative and healing. So that, you know, all this language comes from, not me, but from the staff who really believe this is important. And a wonderful artwork donation by a patient, grateful patient, who tracked me down to make sure that she could donate these lifeguard stations to the floor where she'd been treated, and she felt that the nurses were her lifeguards. And there were, you know, wonderful patient donations. You know, you can see them kind of all over the place, but I have to say I am completely blessed to have this job. There are times, Roseanne's seen me in times of like hysterical craziness periodically, but when I think daily about the kind of people that I encounter, from the staff to the patients and their families, there is such hope and such resilience that it's you know, it's embarrassing to complain about, you know, not being able to find a parking space. This is one of the wonderful people who was part of the program as an advisor in the beginning, Courtney Obata, who passed away, and now I'm implementing this painting journal workshop in gynecological cancer on a monthly basis. And this is one of the patient's friends who came along and did the workshop. This is a quick just overview. I asked some of the people who were my sort of first hits when I came to the hospital to give me a word, how they describe the people they work with and what they think of the hospital. And so you'll see these people, one of them is very familiar to me. And I made them a little box or blanket or whatever. And I love the language, and I thought, you know, to bring this language forward to describe what it is with these people. Our friend Yelena. Her word, I think, was probably one of the most beautiful ones, was resiliency, and I think that's something we come every day. And compassion and interest. And then just, you know, talk about, you know, reaching out into communities. If I'm asked to do something, or if I feel like I can do something that ties the hospital into the greater St. Louis community, you know, using these small gestures, I'm thrilled to do it. So another CAT person asked me to do this workshop, The Spot, which we've continued. I'm working with Clyde C. Miller healthcare track students right now. And we've been having a great time. We finished this kind of brainstorming project. What do you think about when you think of the hospital? Some of it was not good. You know, and these are young people who are headed into healthcare professions. So we worked for a while, and then eventually this was a poster that we did for the healthcare conference last month. And then this is sort of the last thing that kind of sums it up. As I said, I can't say no to anything, and this is the best one. And this is the last one. A patient wanted to donate bells in the cancer center to mark the end of the journey. And so I took that on as an arts project. So
Thank you.
Very nice.